Welcome to a new test and teardown video. This time it's a high voltage tester, really old and also a little bit broken. It's from a Danish company called Willy Nielsen from Farum in Denmark. And I think this is probably from the start of the 60s or something like that. This one is called a Type V3. I've been trying to Google a little bit around and see if I can find any kind of information about this product or this company. I did find a few units that looks a little bit like high voltage testers. I will of course put in a few pictures here so you can see whatever I was able to find. Maybe you can do a little bit better Googling than I can, but that is what I found. So there is a little hand tool here, and for safety there's a spring here, so you push this and out comes the tester, the test electrode for the voltage. So when you leave this on the table, you can't really get electrocuted, or maybe you can, I don't know. But it's actually quite smart. Instead of having a little switch or a little enable or anything like that, the cable here can be moved from the 4 milliamp output to a 400 milliamp output. What the heck? Maybe this explains why this one is so heavy. And there's a auto fuse, probably the mains on off, and a big bright power on lamp. And yeah, the glass here is broken. And I'm a little bit, what is this? Maybe I can look at that. The crown up there. What does that mean? But the text here says it's a high voltage tester and it can only be used by specially trained personnel, and it is life-threatening, dangerous to touch the metal parts that is connected to the output connectors here. So. And nothing to see here at the back except for this little sticker that contained the full address and telephone number of the good Willy Nielsen. And a very dodgy mains cable. And this one says you can only use AC power. In the very old days, some houses maybe had DC. I've seen this AC requirement on many old units. Yeah, we need to open and inspect before I do anything else. So that was actually a little bit difficult. We got both 4 screws at the top and the back, and the 4 here at the bottom. The feet needs to be removed as well, and then I could pull away the top. Oh my gosh, and it's real heavy. It's quite amazing how dirty it is, both on the outside, as you can see here. Normally I do a lot of cleanup before I start my videos, and because it's normally a little bit annoying to poke around with real dirty instruments. But this time I wanted to present how sometimes, how it looks, sometimes, it's, I want to try and clean it up right now, and I also want to clean it inside. But there isn't really anything surprising, since this is only AC. There'll be a step-up transformer and a this is a Variac, so it's called an auto transformer variable. And the way that this works is just like a potentiometer. You can see it's right here. So we got the output and the input. So this will be input, and then you crank up. So this is the lowest possible input, and then I crank it up more and more until I have full power. Or this here is now connected to that one, obviously. So it's like an inductive tapping, or a transformer tapping. So the voltage per winding gives the ratio when this little rotor goes down. And this is of course made of conductive material. And then of course I think this one just do the 220 to 3000 in one simple go. And I think there's no amp meter or anything like that. There's no current indication, only on the primary side. And there's two different output connectors, and that will be, there's probably just a series resistor somehow down there. In one of these we'll have a big hefty series resistor. That is all we got. Oh, a little over voltage protection on the meter. Maybe I can find a little date code here. So the cleanup is going really nice and fine. Water and alcohol makes it super nice and shiny. I can hear some glass pieces inside the instrument. I didn't really clean the instrument so much yet because I can see some cracks down here as well. So I think I'll take out the entire instrument and check it out. There's also, if you see here, yeah, it's kind of stuck somehow. So yeah, that one needs a lot of fixing. So I took apart the entire meter and removed all the last glass bits. I got tiny glass pieces all over the place here. And the meter is, of course, the AC version. And here on the back, we got 4 diodes. So there's a rectifier bridge and then a series resistor. And that's, of course, the scaling for the readout. I don't know exactly if this meter here alone is a 3 kilovolt version. I don't think so, because there's another series resistor, as we see here, the big blue one inside the instrument. So I also learned we got a little bit of mechanical challenge, because look at that. This whole thing here is very, very loose. So I have to readjust all the mechanics. But luckily I know how to do that, so that should also be fine. I got a little bit of metal dust in here, and that is very difficult to get out, because you can't just take compressed air and you're gonna blow away the springs. You see, those are also the electrical connection to the coil. So all that is very difficult to clean at them. Yeah, actually. So what have I done so far? I, of course, called a friend, and he came with another meter. And this is exactly the same design as well. So it looks from the front, but it is much deeper. What about that? Maybe it is not a problem. I don't know exactly how is this more deep or anything like that, but other than that, it seems to be exactly the same mechanical construction and the sizes and all that. Also, oops, see, the mounting screws, they are not located the same. So none of these, nothing here is compatible. I need to move the internal parts from one meter to another. And the fun thing is the back part here is deeper compared to this one. So that means, will I be able, see, it is that much deeper. So will I be able to move the internal parts to the other one? I mean, how do I solve this? A little bit annoying. Good news. Here's the meter, and let's try. That is 60 volts. DC, by the way. Doesn't matter right now, just for the test of the instrument. Well, that seems to be working quite all right. What I have done is that tiny little screw here at the front, you need to loosen the nut a little bit, and then you can tighten that one. So this super slippity slip here is now gone. But this is not, you know, the whole story. There's also another one here at the back. Again, loosen the nut a little bit, and then you can screw this in. So those two little set screws in here, they actually move the coil as well up and down here. And you want also, you can see the safe distance to the magnet and all that kind of stuff. And I know that I have a little bit of clearance problems with the needle as well, so I was happy to be able to move the coil a little bit. This way I don't need to bend or poke around with the needle. But I think I can put this entire meter here. I think I will be able to put this into the mechanics for the other one. Let me show you all this. This is the new, this is the old, yeah, that one is the old. And then the new one, they have compensated for the length of that one here, and also the top is thicker. So I think it's the exact same instrument that goes inside here. We have the same holes. We also have the same mounting holes. They're also exactly the same. And it really looks like they come from the same factory. If we look at the text here on the back, I mean, it's got to be exactly the same factory. One is just a lot older. I just don't know which. But anyway, I have a little progress in this one. It does take a little bit of time and patience. That is how it is. One of the reasons why you need to test before you assemble everything. See, I really tried my very best, and it was looking really, really good. And it looks like I got all the distance and stuff. But look, it hammers in here. So the needle touches something. So darn it, now I need to take it apart and figure out why. So that was another half an hour of poking around. But finally, I figured it out. It turns out this little annoying thingy here on the back, this pin that sticks in and grab the zero adjuster, and also this part here is a little bit higher in this other model, and it goes through and hits those little thingies here. Let me show you on this other one. You can see here those parts here. That's the balance adjustment points, those two. And you can imagine on the other one, this distance is a lot smaller. And when this pin sticks through here, it hits these, and it doesn't hit the first one, it hits the last one. And that is where we had this stop around here. See, you add those little solder blobs here to create weight. And the reason why we got weight add possibilities to different places, that is exactly to handle balance and linearization when it is standing up. You can imagine you can add a little bit weight here, or you can add a little bit weight here, and this way help it so it's going to be linear. That is so amazing. Sometimes you see them a lot more spread, and that means it's a lot easier to adjust. In this case, it's not that easy because they are very, very close, but that is what they are used for, these two thingies, by the way, in case you need to calibrate adjust meters like this. So after a lot of cleaning and assembling and everything nice, I have now plugged my high voltage probe in here, and let's do a little bit of testing. So we turn it on, and there is a 5 mega ohm resistor, the big blue one that goes to the meter, and yeah, look at that one. I just put a serious resistor because it was reading a little bit too much. And now that lamp is annoying. Go away. It is still terrible. So I am now in AC. Let's crank it up. So with a 470K in series with the 5 mega, I was able to calibrate the meter. Lucky me, it was reading a little bit too much. So now it is nice and accurate and nice and clean and a big, hefty readout. So I'm super happy about this. The high voltage output is current limited by two 330K resistors in series, the really, really big ones. So it should probably be able to handle some hefty loads. I don't know how long really. I'm a little bit afraid about this 400 milliamp output. I'll probably put a fuse inside, a tiny little high voltage fuse, because I think it's just too dangerous the way it is without any fuses like that. And I also really like this. This is the original neon-filled bulb. So what should we do with this one? Should we try and make a little experiment? I'm still playing a little bit around here. I think those discharge tubes here, they're specially designed for DC. They also work pretty nice and fine with AC. And I can now, I think this is the voltage before the resistor. And of course I have a resistor, so this one just goes up. Don't really show the voltage here. If I put this in the other output, I will blow up this one because it's not supposed to get that much current. But what if we need to play with an experiment that needs DC? How are we going to handle that one? I think I will end this video with a little bit more high voltage experiments. Of course we can play with DC voltages as well. All we have to do is use a little rectifier. And I think you'll like to see what I have come up with here. This is a little tester thingy here. I love it. Let's just turn it off right here. And then you'll see it glows a little bit more. There's still a little bit of voltage left in the capacitors. I am, of course, using the classic voltage Doppler circuit. I'm using diodes from two microwave ovens because they are for free and they handle tons of kilovolts. And those capacitors I got from a very friendly sponsor, so thanks a lot for those. And now I need to discharge them real nice and careful. So I think I got myself a really nice test setup here, and I can probably celebrate that. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you had a little bit of fun. See you around. Bye bye.